All right, guys, I am Melissa Shaver, and this is our Gym Explosion team call. I'm so excited that you are on the call with us tonight. And guys, I've been so excited all day long about this call because it is with a dear friend of mine. And Laura, you're going to love this if you don't already know it. But Megan Greiner, she actually started in January of 2014. Was it January of 2014? So about 3 months after I started with Plexus. She's currently a Sapphire ambassador with us. She has two babies, which you see one right now, and then Benjamin, who has everyone's heart that has ever met him. But the cool thing that I think I love so much is that she is a Wind River Ranch staff person. Laura, did you know that? Is that not the coolest? And I still remember when we first became Jules and we were all in a thread together under Rosalind Payne, and something came out about Colorado, Estes Park, and then Wind River Ranch. And there's three of us that all have been to Wind River Ranch or been on staff with Wind River Ranch. So immediately, of course, I fell in love with her because I know she's a superstar because of that. And we just had a sweet, sweet bond ever since then. So Megan, thank you so much for being on the call tonight. I'm so excited because of the way that you lead and where your heart is. I'm really excited about our team and what they're going to hear from you. So I'm just going to hand it straight over to you. If everyone else can just make sure you're muted, I think we're all set pretty good so that we can hear everything that she has to share. All right, Miss Megan.
Well, thanks for having me on tonight.
Yes.
Yes, it's so fun to hear about the Wind River Ranch connection. My level 1 emerald, her name is Erin Kane. We actually met at the ranch. Our families were guests at the same time. Sorry, hold on one second. Paul, can you get the door? We were there as guests when we were 14 and 15 years old. So this is over 15 years ago. And then we were on staff together. And so it's really cool how Plexus has brought us together. A lot of our team actually under her. I've got one other girl under me who is from the ranch, but we've got a lot in our team directly under Erin that are all from the ranch. So it's really fun just how Plexus has brought us all together. So I wanted to kind of share my story first. Most of you probably don't know who I am and what Plexus has done for our family. So I really quick wanted to share that with all of you. So like Melissa said, I started in January of 2014, and my husband and I at the time had been trying for 2 years to start a family, and nothing we were doing was working. And so I actually started for fertility reasons. I did not have any diagnosis. I don't have PCOS. I don't have anything like that. I first heard about Plexus from a former parent of mine. I was teaching first grade at the time. And when she was posting, I thought it was about weight loss, so I ignored it. And then she started talking about gut health, and I thought it was all about pooping. And I thought this is just for people who can't poop. And so I ignored it again. And then she posted a story about a woman getting pregnant, and that was the hook for me. And I thought if it could help her, maybe it could help me. And so that was the very beginning of January. And then I actually did not have Slim in my order as a customer because I didn't think I could afford it. And I was still just dragging. And so I messaged my upline, Sarah, and I said, is there any way I could just try the pink drink? Any way I could just try it for, a day or two? So she gave me 3 days to try. And after that first one, I was hooked. And I just felt like a whole different person. I felt like I could get stuff done, and I was in a good mood about it. And so that was the very end of January. And I signed up I actually posted on Facebook as a customer saying, thank you to my friend Sarah for getting me started, and hit all these comments. And so I was like, okay, let me just do it. My husband's a tax accountant, and I knew he was going to allow it for maybe a month or two. But if I was going to tell him, hey, I'm going to spend $100-something a month on supplements, he was going to tell me no. And so I didn't even ask for permission. I just signed up as an ambassador and said, honey, this is what I did. And he said, you did what? This is a scam. You're going to lose all of our money. So he was, if you have a skeptical husband, I hear you. I feel you. It took him a long time for him to really see it as something valuable and sustainable. He never once told me that I had to stop. He never once said, you can't do this anymore. But he was just one of those like, yeah, she's doing this plexus stuff kind of things. So anyway, from the very beginning, I saw great energy and reduced sugar cravings. Those were the two things that I noticed right off the bat. And I remember thinking, even if we don't ever get pregnant, I'm not going to stop taking plexus because I love what it's doing for me. So about 6 months later, we found out we were pregnant. And so that was Benjamin. He is 2.5 now. And then Ella here is 7 months. So plexus has been huge for our family. Another huge thing that it's done for us is it has allowed me to stay home from teaching. In fact, I put in my notice when I was a senior gold ambassador. I went in and said, I'm not coming back. And then I got my last teaching check on August 20th, and I promoted to Ruby a week later. And then in February of 2016, I was pushing for Emerald. I ended the month 6 people shy of Emerald. I ended at 1478. I'll always remember that number. But my husband came home from work one day because he'd been let go unexpectedly. And he is a tax accountant, so we thought that was a safe job. But he did work for an oil and gas company. And so because of all of the struggles we were having down here in Houston, even though he had a safe job, he was let go. And I remember people asking me, so like, you think you can do plexus like for a long time? Like, isn't that like a risky job? Isn't that scary? It's like, well, we thought tax accounting was safe, and look what happened there. And so really that's not a huge risk for me to do network marketing. So anyway, I ended up promoting to Emerald the following month. And so he he was unemployed for a couple months, but he was able to look for a job without that huge stress weighing on his shoulders because we knew that we had income. We knew that we had money coming in and it was going to provide for the things that we needed. Sorry, hold on one second. Sorry about that. So I sat at Emerald for over a year, about a year and a half. I just promoted to Sapphire in August. So I am a fresh new Sapphire. So God has really blessed my business and our team. And it's really great to see what he's doing for the rest of the people on my team as well. So that's a little bit about my story. Hey, yeah, that was my dad calling. Sorry. And y'all, this is how we plexus in real life, right? We pass off babies and we silence phone calls and we kind of juggle all of that. So you're seeing my real life right here. Okay. So I was asking Melissa a little bit about what she wanted me to talk about. And so I'm going to kind of go off some of the notes that she gave me. The first thing she wanted me to talk about was consistency in all ways, in all things plexus. So I will tell you that consistency is the most important thing that you can do in your business. In everything that you do, in posting, in messaging, in taking your products. Guys, you are a product of the product. And if people don't see you taking plexus and they don't see it changing your life, they are not going to jump on board with you. My coworkers saw me taking plexus every single day. They saw me drinking the pink drink in the morning, or they saw me drinking it on my planning period. They saw me taking my BioCleanse at lunch. They knew exactly what I was doing. They have to see you taking product. They have to see you living a healthier lifestyle. Not just taking product and then stuffing your face with donuts when it's Teacher Appreciation Day, right? They have to see you making those better choices, drinking the water and not the soft drinks. They have to see you in your activewear, out walking the dog. You are creating a lifestyle that they need to see. So being consistent in everything. And one of the ways that I did that when I was teaching, because remember, I was a full-time teacher up until I was a senior gold. But I use Buffer all the time. If you don't use Buffer, you are missing out. Buffer is a scheduling app where you can set up posts in there and it will post for you to Facebook. So with the free version of Buffer, you get 10 posts in your queue. You can attach a picture to each one. And I made sure that I had a post going at lunch every single day. And what I would do, I'm a list maker. I thrive on lists. And so I would sit down every Sunday night after I did my lesson plans, and I would make lists of who I was going to reach out to that week, who I was going to follow up with that week. And I would make out my whole schedule of my posts for the week. And yeah, it took me an hour to sit there and do all of that, but then I'd had it done for the whole week. And I didn't have to waste time thinking, okay, what am I going to post? Where was that post? I know I saw a really great post from this person. Oh, what was it? I wasn't wasting time on who I was going to message because I had that list there and ready, and I could just boom, send the messages and be on with the rest of my day. So Buffer, if you're not using Buffer, I really recommend that. I did do several posts a day. I know I've heard all kinds of different things. Only post once a day about Plexus, only post twice a day. But my recommendation is to kind of look at what you're posting already. I was an oversharer on Facebook to begin with. I posted on Facebook all day long anyway. And so it wasn't unusual for me to post about Plexus 3 times a day. Now, if you are not active on Facebook, don't jump into three Plexus posts a day. But kind of think about how active you are on Facebook already and make your Plexus posts kind of match that. One thing that I would tell people is for every personal post, do a Plexus post. If you're going to be posting all day long anyway, why not? It's part of your life. It's part of what you do and who you are. So be bold and be proud in that. And don't worry about, you can post too much. I will say you can post too much. I know people who post about Plexus every 30 minutes, and that's a little much. But make it match what you're already doing anyway with your personal posts. When people hear Plexus, they should think of you. So I had a message today from a girl I've never even met. She was a friend of another girl that I had only met a few times. And she did try Plexus from me for a month. And she messaged me today and she said, hey, my boss wants to try Plexus for losing weight. And I sent him your link. When people hear the word Plexus, your name should be the first name that they think of. Because again, you should be consistent with your posting, with your reaching out, with taking that product, with being a product of the product, so that when your name and Plexus should be kind of synonymous. So being consistent in everything that you're doing, that really is, I think, probably the most important thing that you could do. There's a lot of really important parts of Plexus, but if you're not doing it every day and you're not being that example, your business is not going to go anywhere. The next thing she wanted me to talk about was mindset and belief. And really the biggest thing I have on that is to find your tribe. Find your tribe. Find the people that are going to build you up, that are going to encourage you, the people that when you're having a bad day in Plexus, when people aren't responding to you, when people, when you get that person who comments on your post and you worry about what other people are thinking as they read it, you need to have your tribe who's going to back you up and say, bad days happen, put your big girl panties on and let's move on. Like, it's a bad day, tomorrow's different. Let's think about what we can do tomorrow to make tomorrow better. Do not surround yourself with people who are negative, who are always complaining about back office or detox or whatever. Find people who are going to pick you up and help you move forward. Stuck people, a lot of times, stay stuck. like those negative people, they don't go anywhere in their business. So you want to find a tribe that's going to help move you forward. That's going to help a lot with your mindset and your belief. This is another thing that I always heard about belief too, is find those stories that kind of stick with you and keep them in your back pocket for when you have a bad day. I will never forget the very first opportunity meeting I went to. I had only been with Plexus for a couple months. I had one ambassador on my team, and I went to an opportunity of lifetime meeting, and I heard this story from an Emerald who was sharing about how she used one credit card that had just enough for her welcome pack. And right as soon as she did that, her husband called and said, "Hey, I got a flat tire. I need you to use that credit card and pay for a tire." And she said, "You don't understand. We don't have any money on that credit card. I just used it." So she had to go and take out a loan for a spare tire or for a new tire. And like, that's how bad things were. They couldn't afford anything extra. And ended up being, she and her husband were both teachers. Her business took off, and she and her husband were both able to quit their teaching jobs. They were both Emeralds. I think he was an Emerald. And they have a daughter who had a lot of medical bills, and they were able to pay all of those. And so that's a story that I just have always remembered. And that's a story that I heard almost 4 years ago. And so find those stories that stick with you, that really hit home with you, that make you say, yes, this is real. These stories are not made up stories. These are not made up people. These are real things happening for real people. Because I'm going to tell you, if you're a normal person, then you're going to have moments of discouragement. You're going to have moments where you feel like throwing in the towel, and you have to have those stories and those people who are going to push you forward. So find your tribe and find those stories that stick with you and keep them in your back pocket. The next thing that Melissa asked me to talk about was what made me say that I was all in. So actually, I love that I'm doing this call in October, because October is my favorite month in Plexus. It is not the month that I joined. It is not a promotion month for me. But this is my favorite month in Plexus, because this is the month where everything changed for me. Because back in October of 2014, 3 things happened. That was the month that I was in a Maui group that Andrea, our upline Andrea, was doing. And basically, she would give us challenges. And if you didn't complete the challenges, you got kicked out of the group. And I didn't want to get kicked out. And so her challenge was, you got a message. You got to do your 5-3-1, right? Your 5 new messages, your 3 follow-ups, your 1 training. You got to do your 5-3-1 for 5 out of 7 days. And up at that point, I had never done a cold message. And so I joined in January. I didn't do my first cold message until October. And it was because I didn't want to get kicked out of that group. Okay. So that was the first thing that made me say I was all in. The second thing, corporate was running an incentive where if you got 3 new ambassadors and 3 customers, you got an iPad. And I didn't really need an iPad, but that's the red personality in me saying, I want that iPad. And so I worked my butt off for that iPad. And all 3 of those people that joined me as an ambassador are still active members, business building ambassadors on my team. The third thing, and probably the biggest thing, is that was the month that I came home from work one day. I was 3 months pregnant, and I said, I want to stay home. And I need you to tell me my magic number. I need you to tell me the number I have to make each month with Plexus to stay home. I'm not looking to replace my income, but if we cut back here and we stop spending there, what is the number that I'm looking for so that I can be a stay-at-home mom? And so all 3 of those things happened at the same time in the month of October to make me say, I'm going to do this. I'm all in. I don't really know what it's going to look like. I don't know how far it's going to get me, but I know that I'm going to stop making excuses. And I think at that point, I still never even considered myself to be, I never saw myself working for a Jewel. I never saw myself becoming a Jewel. But I knew that I was going to go as far as I could, and I was ready to do whatever it took. Because up until that point, I was like, yeah, you know, I post every day, but like, you know, people come to me, great. But those three things simultaneously are what made me say, I'm done with excuses and I'm ready to be committed and I'm going to make it happen. And it took a lot of discipline. And I think that's another thing that we have to have is we have to be disciplined because there are times when even now when it's late and, you know, it's 11:30 and I've just finished cleaning the kitchen and I just want to go in bed. And I think I haven't reached out. I need to do let me send five messages, even if it's not the 531. Let me just send a couple messages tonight before I go to bed because I know that I need to be continuing to work my business. I have a responsibility to work my business. My team is not responsible for my paycheck. I'm responsible for my paycheck. And so I'm going to keep doing the work that I need to do to continue to grow my business. And so being disciplined is a big part of that. And sending the messages even when you're tired. If you're not disciplined, that lack of intentment, that lack of purpose, I guess, is going to kind of catch up to you. And eventually we kind of get comfortable with being lazy, I think. And so we have to do it every single day. And then the last thing she wanted me to talk about was just some keys that have helped me be successful and stay successful. I think the biggest word that I could use is probably intentional. Being intentional about posting, being intentional about messaging. When you see someone online that you want on your team and you know that they're a blue and they're really into the shopping sprees and all that kind of stuff, post about the shopping spree. When you see a mom get online and you know that these products could help her, post a story about how it's helping moms or it's helping you as a mom. So being intentional about what you're posting and kind of who you're posting for. You know, you can click on the little chat box on Facebook and you can see who's on, right? Online at that moment. And so use that to help you. And then being intentional with your messaging. I really don't like those messages that start off with, hey, I'm just going to use a name on here. Hey, Michelle, how are you? It's great to see you on Facebook. I love pictures of your kids. By the way, I don't know if you've seen, I've been posting out Plexus, yada, yada, yada. I feel like it's a very fake reach out. I don't feel like there's a whole lot of purpose behind that. I feel like it's just you've gone through the list. You see this next person on your list that you haven't messaged, so boom, you're going to message them. I love scripts, but I feel like every message should not be a copy and paste message. So when I have those people who maybe I haven't talked to in forever and I don't know what's going on in their lives, I'm just going to flat out say that to them and say, hey, I know this message is really out of the blue since I haven't seen you since high school, but I've been reaching out to people I haven't talked to yet about Plexus. And so I wanted to ask you, have you ever tried it? And so that way I'm owning up to the fact that I haven't talked to you in forever. This is really random. It could be kind of awkward, but this is why I'm reaching out to you. I have found that when I'm honest that way and when I'm vulnerable that way, it's a lot more well received because people know I'm not beating around the bush. I'm not just trying to chat you up so that I can sell you some Plexus, right? I'm going to be really open with why I'm talking to you. So being really intentional about your messaging. One thing that I do like to do, and I've saw a call with Abby Kappa, who is the youngest diamond in Plexus, and she does the same thing too, where I kind of have set like messages that I send for teachers, where I kind of use the same wording and I tweak the beginning and the end of the message. So kind of think about groups of people that you have, and everybody's audience is going to be different. I have teachers and I have moms. Those are my two biggest audiences because that's what I did. That's what my life was. But if you are in CrossFit and you have a lot of people in that network, in that market, have some wording that you don't have to recreate every single time that targets that kind of CrossFit exercise buff audience. If you are in the medical field, if you're a nurse or a nurse practitioner, have some wording where, you send to them that they would relate to. I know you may have seen stuff about plexus and, being a nurse. I know you're probably really interested in ingredients, and I would love to share some of that with you, whatever your wording is. But kind of have those little chunks of people so that you can have scripts kind of set aside for them, but you're still able to tweak them. But they're intentional because they're targeted for that audience. I hope all of that makes sense. That's kind of how my brain works. Another thing that has helped me be successful, and this is one that I think a lot of people don't like to talk about, is sacrificing. I have made a lot of sacrifices. My family has made a lot of sacrifices. My husband, who is in the other room, will tell you that he has made sacrifices for my business, for me to be at the point where I am in my business. I've sacrificed sleep. I've sacrificed time with my family. I've sacrificed money. I have spent, and that's going to be my next tip, is about samples. But it does take sacrifice to get to the top. And any jewel, I think, will tell you that they have sacrificed and their families have sacrificed. But we do it because we know that we want the time freedom that comes with being at the top. There are times when I can put my phone away and I don't have to worry because I know that my team is still going to grow that day, and I'm still going to get a paycheck that Friday, and I'm still going to get a paycheck on the 15th, and it's still going to be mind-blowing. And I have that ability to where if I choose to, I can put my phone away. But I had to make those sacrifices beforehand to be able to get to that point. I will say that I still sacrifice. I love what I do. And so it's hard for me to kind of draw that line. But I know that when my husband says, okay, put your phone away, I can. And he's told me that many times. He has said, he's called me phone face. Paul, what other names have you called me? I think phone face is probably the biggest one. But I promise you that the sacrifices are worth it. I promise you, have that shareholder meeting, get together with your family and say, this is why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for our family. I'm doing this for you guys. I'm doing this for our financial future. I'm doing this so that I can have that time freedom so I can stay home with you. Have that meeting with your family and say, it's going to take sacrifice. But then you've got to have compromise. Are you not willing? Are you not going to work on Sundays? Is there, are you going to have 1 or 2 days a week where you have team calls? Meet with your family, with your shareholders. Tell them I'm going to have sacrifices. It's going to take sacrifice, but let's compromise and let's find where I can make those sacrifices and where I can't. But you will sacrifice if you want to be at the top. Samples, y'all. I am a big believer in samples. Like I said at the beginning, I probably would not have tried Slim had my friend Sarah not given me a sample, because I didn't think that I could afford, $80, whatever it was. So one thing that I like to tell people to do is to buy a whole bag of Slim, write samples across the top of it with a permanent marker, and that becomes a tax write-off because you're using it for a business expense. But just go through a bag every couple months. I'm not saying you have to buy another bag every single month, but a sample here, a sample there. I really believe if we can get Slim in people's hands, they're going to fall in love with it. The key to samples is following up. If you are not following up, that is just throwing money down the toilet. Okay. You have to follow up with samples, but I highly, highly encourage sending out samples because it is a really effective way to grow your business. People always want samples. Recognition. If you have a team, recognize your team. Beginning of the month, middle of the month, end of the month. Praise the people who are qualified early. Praise the people who have 500 PV. Praise the people who get a new customer. Praise the people who are trying a new product, who are posting on Facebook for the first time. People work harder for praises than raises. You might have heard that saying before. People love to be recognized. They love to know that what they're doing is being seen. Plus, it also kind of creates that fear of missing out for the people who are just watching everybody else be recognized. And they're like, well, what the heck? Like, I didn't get a shout out. Let me go qualify real quick so I can get a shout out. So recognition is a great way to encourage your team. And then the last thing I put was consistency, again, because it is that important, beginning and the end of my spiel here. If you do nothing else, be consistent. Because your business is not going to grow if you do not do the work day in and day out. If you're not taking products every single day, people are going to notice. They're going to notice if you are still sneaking in your, Route 44 Diet Dr. Pepper. So be consistent in everything that you do. So I think that's all that I had. Melissa, is there anything else that you wanted me to talk about or anything you want me to kind of expand on?
I do. So thanks for asking me, because there's two things that I know that are going to be brought up in their minds. And I'm amazed that no thing has been put into the chat. So that's really interesting, which I love, I guess, that they didn't. I expected them to. So our team is really working hard on IPAs and reaching out and cold messaging and all of that. So I would love to hear kind of how you do a cold message, because that's always their big question, because they're really trying to build new networks and get people outside of warm market. So talk to us a little bit about how you do that.
You know what? I just did a call a couple weeks ago, or actually I think it was last week. Let me see if I could pull up that. I have this MacBook, and I'm still kind of learning how it's done. I copied and pasted a lot of, there it is. I copied and pasted a lot of cold messages that I have sent. Mm-hmm. Melissa, I could even send this to you.
That would be great. I think that they would really, really appreciate that.
And I kind of broke it up into, like, for the people who have liked a Plexus post. Hey, I saw you like my most recent Plexus post. Do you drink pink too? Boom. Here's one for those who like a post about an event. So I did a Plexus and Play date a while back. And I just said, hey, I'm having a Plexus and Play date on Thursday and would love to invite you to join us. Super casual, just letting the kids play while we chat. I saw you liked my post about it and wanted to make sure I invited you personally. Let me go to some of the cold messages. So here's one for those you haven't talked to in forever. I said, hey, Erin, congrats on sweet Claire. She is beautiful. Hopefully she's letting y'all get some good sleep in. I know this message is totally out of the blue, but I'm reaching out to some people I haven't talked to yet about Plexus, especially new moms and dads, and wanted you to know that if you or your wife are interested in trying it out or learning more about it, I'd love to send you a sample. Send a sample your way in the mail and be your Plexus girl. I'm on a mission to be everyone's Plexus girl. Haha. Hope to hear from you soon. Thanks. For those who have expressed interest in the business, but maybe they haven't joined in yet, good morning. Plexus just announced some extra incentives for people working their business. So if you're still interested in joining and working it, this is a really great time. The magic message. I know this is one that kind of was going around for a while. Hey, so I know you've seen lots of my Plexus posts by now. Have you ever tried it? That's a really easy one. And honestly, it gets a lot of response. Mm-hmm. For people who have said no, y'all, this has kind of been where my focus has been, because, I've been doing this for almost 4 years. And so I've reached out to a lot of my warm market. My strategy right now is really just creating new relationships, making new friends, and then, sharing Plexus with them. But I've had a lot of people tell me no. And so I have a couple that I've used. I said, hey, girl, I know we had talked a while back about Plexus and you weren't interested then. But now you have different circumstances with the little one, and I know what that is like. Have you thought about trying it out at all? And this girl messaged me back and said, yes, actually, I've been thinking about it. Hey, we had talked about Plexus a while back, and I know you weren't interested then, but I always like to check back in with people every now and then. Has anything piqued your interest at all since we last talked about it? And y'all, I just sent that one to a girl just over the weekend, I think it was, and got a really funny message back from her. And so I wanted to read it to you. She says, love it. Thanks for reaching out. It's still not something I'm interested in, but try again in a few years. Things could change. You'll be rocking at life 18 hours per day, grinding your own wheat for bread and folding your neighbor's laundry because yours is already put away. And I'll be laid up on my couch eating goldfish, watching The Office for the millionth time. Maybe I'll be ready then. So, I mean, she was humorous about it, right? She wasn't like, oh my gosh, I already told you no, I don't want it. And you might have some people who do that. But remember, they're not telling you no, they're telling the product no. Just let that one roll right off your back. So anyway, Melissa, I'll send you those because those are, cold messaging is one of my favorite things to talk about because I really do feel like there's an art to it. I'm not very good with the spoken word, but I love writing. I hated it when I was in school, but I do enjoy writing. I feel like I can express myself better that way. And so I love cold messages because I feel like there is such an art to it. And I really think that it's easy to just, send a whole novel and then those people are gone and we've lost them. Let me see some things in the chat. What do you do if someone contacts you about Plexus and after you respond, they stop communicating with you entirely? Sometimes do you reach out before you stop or do you stop? Okay. So no, you do not stop. I'm sure you guys have all seen that graphic about what is it, like 80% of sales are made on like the 7th through the 12th contact. So if they reach out to you, you just keep on messaging and you message them back with something different every single time. In fact, let me pull up another message. There's a girl that I was talking to. She was going to join last July, like July 2016. She was ready. And then like you said, I just stopped hearing from her. Like she even changed the color of our chat box. So her husband was skeptical. So this was back in September of 2016. Then I said, hey, they just changed the 60-day guarantee to now include ambassadors. Talked about that. Hey, Haley, still pursuing you because I really think you love these products in this business. And then a month later, Plexus just announced another incentive. And then I messaged her about a special I was doing. And then 2 months later, hey, Haley, with it being a new year, wanted to see if Plexus was going to be a part of it at all. I'd love to get you started on it if you're ready. A few months later, my sponsor just offered to reimburse enrollment. And then I reminded her about that. The next month, I said, girl, this new slim will knock your socks off. Are you ready to make the leap? A month later, happy birthday. She's finally said thank you. That was all I heard from her. Then I sent a voice message, nothing. Then I messaged about a 7-day trial. She said she was in, gave her the info, heard nothing. Message last day to order. Then in October, just October 5th, so this was last week, I said, hey, Haley, I don't want to keep bugging you if you've changed your mind about Plexus, but I haven't heard from you otherwise. If you want me to stop messaging about it, just tell me. And she immediately messaged me back. Don't stop, please. I am still interested. Unfortunately, every dime coming in from my job is spoken for in rent, blah, 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 blah. And then she said, please don't think I'm giving excuses. I almost signed up behind his back because I know what Plexus can do for us. She said, but I pray about it and think I will be a part of the Plexus miracle before 2018. Okay. So y'all, I could go back and count, but that's message after message after message of no response. And I never once got offended. I never once was snarky and said, okay, like I'm done. You're not, why are you not messaging me? I believed in what we have and I continued to share that with her. And I would tell her about every special Plexus was running. I would tell her about every special I was doing. I would check in beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year, birthdays. You just don't stop. And eventually when you say, do you want me to stop? I think a lot of times people are going to be really honest and say, no, don't stop. I'm just not ready now.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep asking me.
I love that. Let me just ask real quick on that before you look at Stephanie's. She never responded even with your first message, right?
I have to go back and look.
In July of 2016, from that point until October of 2017, other than happy birthday, from the initial time?
So she actually, okay, so I'm going all the way back. Y'all, I messaged her back in 2014. Okay, first message, July 22nd, 2014, y'all. Megan, you are constantly intriguing me with your Plexus updates. I'm not looking for any weight loss product, but I would enjoy a healthier me. I crave sodas all the time and suffer from adult ADD. I would appreciate it if you could contact me on your Plexus products to see what would help. It has taken me a while to feel comfortable asking this of you. I started a message and just stopped because I do not know the right thing to ask. Due to all the wonderful testimonials I have read from your Facebook, I now feel more comfortable asking. So I messaged her back. I told her a whole bunch of stuff. And then a month later, she was still interested. And then after that is where things, then she told me she was taking Plexus products, but she stopped. And then she told me about a friend who was interested in Plexus products. And then it was last July. Yeah. So,
well, I mean, that should be so encouraging to everybody on this call. I mean, that should really, really, really be encouraging and give, I mean, I know it gets me excited. So don't give up.
Okay, that is over 3 years that I have been pursuing. And
we don't know people's heart. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what their stress points are, but their silence does not mean that they dislike you or that they're not interested. Their silence it means exactly what she said, which is, I don't even have the words to speak. And she said that 3 years ago, but even from that point forward, like, what does she say to you other than honestly uncovering kind of her pains, right? We can't afford it. We don't know how we're going to do it. I know that this is the answer. And most people are probably thinking, you really don't want to hear my excuses, so instead I'm going to be quiet. Yeah. I love that. So I pray that that's encouraging you guys. I love seeing this. Stephanie, love it, not getting offended anymore and need patience. So another thing Stephanie asked is, what about the people who you message and you can see Facebook that they aren't reading it and you don't have any other form of communication? That's a great question.
That is a really good question. That's something that I honestly struggle with myself.
Right.
And I don't understand why they were seeing all of my messages and now all of a sudden they don't. Like, I look back, just the blue check mark, blue check. And I'm like, I know Facebook, what is the deal?
Yeah.
And so that might be a time where I comment on or write on their wall. And I'm not gonna talk about Plexus, but I might write on their wall and say, hey, I'd love to catch up with you sometime. I'll send you a message or something. I'd probably write on their wall and just be like really casual about sending them a message for something.
That's exactly what I do too, Stephanie, is I end up writing on their wall, and I don't say anything about Plexus, but I just say, hey girl, like, it's been too long. I really want to catch up. Just something really easy. One of my girls, I literally said, girl, I sent you a message. And she went and looked at it. But I was like, I don't know how else to do it other than to say, go read your messages. And she did. So.
And it could even be something like, if they post about, or if you see a shirt they're wearing and it has a cause on it, or even if you just like the shirt, just, write on their wall and say, hey girl, message me where you got that shirt. It's adorable. I'd love to go get one or whatever. Obviously don't be like fake about it. You don't say you love their shirt if you don't like their shirt. But think of ways that you could engage them on their wall to then have them go check their message, that says, I've sent you a message, or message me this. That way they will go and look at their messages, and then they'll see, oh my gosh, I missed all these messages from them. So yeah, that's kind of tricky too. Christina,
hey, Megan, I want you to see that one.
Do you ever use voice messenger? I don't as much as I should. I will tell you, there's another girl that I messaged over and over and over. She approached me. She was ready. And then it was like radio silence. And I did the same thing that I did with Haley. And I would message every special. And I would message, every time it was New Year's or whatever. Nothing. She would see it, but nothing. And so I voice messaged we were doing a VIP event. And it was for people who you knew were going to be interested in the business. I knew she was interested. And so I messaged her real quick and said, hey, Amy, my team is doing this VIP event. It's an invite-only event. It's going to be on Google Hangouts. So all you have to do is click a YouTube link, yada, yada, yada. I would love for you to join in. Boom. She messaged me back right away. I don't know what it is about the voice messaging. They can hear the passion. They can hear it in your voice. Like I said earlier, I don't do well speaking as well as I do typing. I am one of those that I take a lot to process things. And so I look at my writing and I can kind of go back and say, did I miss anything? Did I forget anything? Did I say something that maybe I need to rethink? And I can't do that with a voice message. And so it's not as comfortable for me. I have been doing it more, and I'll tell you, it makes a big difference. So I would tell you, if you're scared of doing the voice messages, to get out of your comfort zone and just try it. But be aware that you get 1 minute and you don't get a practice. As soon as you lift your finger off, it sends. So don't start talking and be like, wait, shoot, and then lift your finger off, because then that message is sending. So maybe practice with your upline or your downline if you've never done a voice message before, but they are effective. And so I would challenge you you can drag up to cancel. What? I did not know that.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'm probably still going to mess that one up, so I'm not going to do that. I'll practice that one with my upline and my downline. But anyway, I challenge you to get out of your comfort zone and do the voice messages, because it really does make an impact, for sure.
Yeah.
I think I'm all caught up on there. Any other questions? Melissa, do you have anything else for me?
I see one here. Laura had us all voice message back and forth at our coffee last Saturday. That's cool. That's really great. Any other questions before we say goodbye to Miss Megan? Great information. I thank you so much. I think I had one more question for you, but I have to see if I asterisked it. I love what you said about I am responsible for my business and I am responsible for my paycheck. And that's a huge piece that I think that we all need to hear. And I wish I could find very quickly the other one that I wanted to ask you about. On consistency, one thing that I wanted to hear your feedback on is we all know the importance of consistency, but I want to hear from you from the standpoint of when we get hit with, balls coming from left field and how life happens, and all of a sudden we have a huge distraction in our life. How do we learn to stay consistent in the midst of trying to recover from things that kind of got us off and our schedule, just gets off? Share a little bit about how you stay consistent whenever life happens.
So for me, the biggest thing is going back to your why. And I think that's a pretty common response that you would get, Melissa, is going back to why you're doing it in the first place. Because that will always recharge you, and that will always put you back in that place of, this is why this is important, and this is why I need to make it a priority. So that would be the first thing that I would say. And then the second thing, like I said, find your tribe. Find people who, maybe like my son back in January had RSV, and we were in the hospital overnight. And it was Super Saturday. I missed Super Saturday, and I was not in a place. I was pregnant. I was, 6 months pregnant, and sleeping in a hospital bed with my son on me. And I was not in a place where I was focusing on my business, right? Like, my concern was him. My focus was him, and is he getting enough oxygen? And are we going to be here another night? And is that a fever I'm feeling? And I knew that I had that tribe behind me who they were going to post on my team page for me. They were going to keep me in the loop with what I was missing for Super Saturday. So find that tribe where you can message real quick and say, y'all, I'm in the hospital right now. Can you take over for me for, the weekend or whatever? Because this is a big, I'm sure you've seen that sign, that saying that says there's no I in Plexus, there's an us in Plexus, right? We do this together. And we have that whole one Plexus mentality. And that's really huge, because life does happen. And there are times where you have to say, that's my phone ringing. Where you do have to say, I just need to take a step back. Not a huge step back. I'm not going to be gone for a week or a month or whatever, but I'm going to be gone for just this moment, and I need you guys to take over. Now, if it's something like if you're going on a vacation where you're not going to have service, that's when you set up your buffer. That's when you make a plan at the beginning of the week, and you message as many people as you can before you go, so that you're still being productive. Like, you've done just as much work. You've just done it all in one shorter amount of time. So remembering your why and finding your tribe who can be one Plexus for you. Those, I think, are probably the two biggest things that are going to help you kind of get past that hurdle, because they're going to happen.
I love that. So, huge thing that I'm hearing is we've always known that you can't live on an island, I don't think, and do network marketing. Obviously, that you have to have community and have your tribe. But your tribe comes really, really, really critical whenever life happens, and you need people to support you and come around you and take some of that burden off of you from a business standpoint. And if you've not lived within a community and a tribe, then it's going to be really, really difficult. So I love that.
Plexus can become that tribe that you don't have in your. The two girls that I can think of that are my best friends in Plexus. One was in my small group at my church, and then the other one, she was a high school. Actually, she was my best friend when I was in junior high. Had lost touch with both of them, and Plexus brought us back together. And these two girls didn't even know each other. They know each other because of Plexus, but the three of us are best friends. And when I'm having a bad day, I can go to them and say, y'all, I need some prayer up here. Like, I can't do this right now. And so even if you don't have that community where you are physically, find those people, find those sideline relationships that can become your tribe, find those downline relationships that can become your tribe, so that you do have that community. Because I think it's really cool that Plexus can be that for you.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time. I loved this conversation, which I knew I would. I kept telling everybody on my team that I could not wait for the call tonight. I was so excited, and you've given us so much stuff. You gave me stuff that prompted me to put on my to-do list for tomorrow to make sure that I get some stuff done. So I just appreciate you. I appreciate your heart and your genuineness and being honest with us on how you do things. And like everyone is saying, here, Shelly, thank you, thank you. Everyone wants to see that crazy script that you have. Just thank you for teaching us the way that you did.
I will copy and paste it to you in a message, and that
way
you can.
Okay.
It's just the whole document, so it even has my little tips up at the top.
Okay. Thank you so very much, guys. Thanks for being on the call tonight.
Bye, guys.
Bye.